Okay, so it looks like we are live on YouTube. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me make sure audio is working. Seems to be. Okay. So we were on Facebook earlier. Not sure if that stream came out, so we're testing it tonight on YouTube. This is the Brampton Observatory channel. We hope to be doing live streams frequently. And tonight we're actually a little more than 3/4 of the way almost to through the Crab Nebula. Earlier we did the Orion Nebula and Rosette, Western Rosette, and hopefully people will tune into the channel. If you have questions, I will be able to answer them. This channel is designed for people just starting out in astronomy and astrophotography. Sorry, looking for my phone. And hopefully we'll be able to learn together and be able to see some great images of the night sky. And yep, there we go. It says we are live, though I don't see anything coming through. So we'll keep watching that to see if we actually get an image at some point. That would be nice. Yes, we do. So I'm going to turn down my volume so we don't get that delay. So we are live from the Brampton Observatory, and we're going to do this on a frequent basis. Like I say, this channel is really designed for people who are just getting started out in astronomy and astrophotography. Hopefully we can learn together and I can answer some of your questions and save you some of the pain that I went through in getting to where I am now. We have a few more targets on for tonight. We're going to try to do some galaxies. These are short. Normally I would do longer exposures and lengths of time on those exposures. You can see I'm just doing 30 exposures here at 60 seconds each, just to give you an idea of the channel. And really tonight's broadcast is really just a test to see how well it works. I have struggled with getting live broadcasting done, but kind of figured it out, as I said earlier, on Facebook this afternoon, and looks like it's working on YouTube. I'm not sure it worked on Facebook. We tried Facebook Live. We'll work on that one as well. You'll see in the coming days a Facebook page dedicated to not my personal website, or sorry, Facebook page, but my astronomy page on Facebook. Ooh, that shifted. So far tonight, no tracking errors. I have, as I said before, had some issues. If you're looking off to the left, you can see some stars that look a little out of focus and kind of wonky. That may be due to, as I mentioned earlier on Facebook, a hyperstar collimation problem. We'll work on that as well. But I hope for the moment that you enjoy the channel. If you do, please subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. And hopefully we'll be able to continue this all through the spring and summer and into next winter. Right now we're kind of moving into galaxy season, so a lot of the targets that are popular, like Orion, will soon be not available in the night sky. But on the bright side, there are just oodles and oodles of galaxies out there that are great to image. I'll also be doing some other videos. Upcoming video actually is going to be on my home-built observatory. I'm sitting in a warm room. My telescope is in an adjacent room in the observatory. It's a roll-off roof observatory that a gentleman by the name of Gord Farmer built for me. Fantastic guy. So if you're ever looking for one of these and you're in the Ontario area, I'm not sure how far he'll go. He lives quite a distance from me, and he came to Brampton. If you have the resources, I would highly recommend it. I'm sitting here, it's I think -6 or 7 outside, and I'm nice and toasty warm inside the warm room. So like I say, we're doing Crab Nebula right now. Telescope setup is a Celestron Edge HD 14. It's a behemoth. It has a hyperstar attached to it, which allows me to image at approximately f2, which gives me a big wide field and the ability to do shorter exposures to get more data. Right now you're probably looking at it going, oh, if you're new to all this and you're just finding the channel, oh, that doesn't look so great. Well, I have an Optilong filter on there, which kind of is what's giving that green cast in the image processing. That will disappear, and we're going to be stacking the 30 images. I will show the final result in a upcoming video, and hopefully you'll ride along with me here as we go through astronomy, both with the videos and the live broadcasts, which I hope people enjoy. If you do, like I say, subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up, and we'll be able to keep doing this as much as possible. The weather, as I mentioned earlier on the Facebook side, has been pretty atrocious here in southern Ontario this winter, so I've had very little opportunity to get out. It has fortunately given me the opportunity to be able to work on a lot of the bugs and problems that I've had, including getting live broadcasting to work properly. There are experts out there who have been doing it for years, and they have it nailed down. I'm still in the learning phase, as well as learning in the astrophotography phase. I'm by no means an expert, but I hope I can give you some information that will help you along. There's some other great channels out there that I mentioned earlier on the Facebook side, like Astro Backyard, Trevor, he's here in Ontario as well. Visible Dark, Sean, he I think is in the same area. And out in the Maritimes, there are some gentlemen who do a show every Sunday night called Astronomy by the Bay, the Sunday night show. They start at 7 o'clock every Sunday night, and they are both entertaining and absolutely very knowledgeable and helpful for anyone who's getting started, or anyone interested in astronomy in general. So be sure to check them out. We're actually almost up to the 30 images. I'm just doing short runs tonight for this test. Normally, as I said, I would be doing much longer in terms of, or more light frames, or subs as we call them. But for the purpose of testing and kind of showing you how it all works, that's the way we decided to do it tonight. If you have any questions along the way, if anybody's out there, feel free to ask on YouTube. I'm just going to actually flip to the YouTube for a second to see if there are any questions or comments. And I see nobody in the live chat right now. So we'll go back to the image. And we're done with that particular image. So I'm going to move over to, shoot, I think, M82, M81. I'm going to take a look anyway. Let's do a quick reset on this. And I'll talk a little bit about the software I'm using and hardware as we go along. And I didn't really make a coherent list of targets tonight. Just kind of going through, as I said, I'm just testing the channel for the first time. Oh, runaway mouse. Go to preview. And let's take a look at, where do we want to go from here? Thinking M82 and M81 may be in a decent position in my sky at the moment. Let's do a search for M82. We'll find out. So M82 is NGC 3034 for those who are just learning astronomy. NGC just means New Galactic Catalog. Messier 82, Charles Messier is the one who discovered most of these objects, though not all of them. But they're still called Messier objects, go figure. Okay, let's do our go-to on the scope. May be able to hear it whirring along here as it goes out to track. It's got to swing around to a completely different side of the sky. So it just finished slewing, and it will, let's do a quick preview image. I basically have to use two processes because I'm using an iPad with the Celestron mount, and also I'm using the ASI Air Pro. The Celestron StarSense is not quite calibrated perfectly, so the other software actually allows me to get things centered. It goes out and does what's called plate solving and gets me more centered. So let's do a preview. We don't want to do 60 seconds to start. 10 seconds should kind of tell us where we are if we're in the neighborhood. Typically it's off by a bit, but we'll see shortly. Don't see any detail there, so I'm going to go out and find M82 here. Let's just do it this way. We will cancel that one. Do M82. There it is. So they call it Bode's Nebula, as you can see here, because when Charles Messier was discovering all of these objects, he had no idea they were galaxies. He thought they were nebula, which is why you'll see galaxies like Andromeda, called the Andromeda Nebula. He wasn't aware that they were actually galaxies. So you can see, peak-wise, we still have pretty good altitude on this, right up to close to midnight before it starts to take a dip. So let's go out. Oops. So now the software I'm using through the ASI Air is going to go out and do plate solving and hopefully properly center the telescope in the area of the galaxies. So it says it detected a couple hundred stars, so it's auto-centering. Sometimes this is quick, sometimes it takes a couple of different tries for it to find. Looks like it's validating whether it's centered. It's solving, and it says now the target is centered. It will take a quick image. The first image is always a mess because it hadn't settled. Okay, so I do see both galaxies in the image. I'm going to do a little bit longer. I'm going to do a 30, another 10-second exposure to make sure the mount is tracking properly. I have had issues with the CGE Pro mount. It sometimes can kind of go off on its own and get a little wonky. Okay, so we have M82, which is up here, and M81 down here. M81 is kind of out of the screen. I could probably shift that around a little bit more, but this is kind of a test. And I'm more interested actually in M82. Anyway, so I'm going to do a longer exposure. Let's try a 30 second. We're just going to preview that. Probably end up doing minute-long exposures tonight. Again, I would probably do longer exposures any other time and more of them. But this is just a test of the channel. Hope you'll tune in and subscribe as we continue to do this. I'll put up notifications as to when we're going to broadcast again. Hopefully we'll get good weather. For those of you who are new, you're seeing it looks pretty green and not very good. This is all before, once again, image processing. There's an optilong filter on there that is geared towards, actually that's not too bad, knocking out light pollution and only allowing the type of light into the telescope that is found mostly out in space, in the great space. So that actually doesn't look too bad for a first image. I am going to try a 60-second exposure, and hopefully it's not blown out. The longer the better in most cases, not always, but you'll hear people argue both sides. Some people say, no, you need more exposures if you have take hundreds of different images, stack them together. It does help. It eliminates the noise in the image. But if you're just getting started, you know, even an image like this, I think you can be pretty proud of. You can see I got some wonky stars off on the left there. I am aware of that. I think that's it. Collimation issue with my hyperstar, as I mentioned earlier. And It's loading up the image. Did it make a huge difference? A little bit. Brought out a little more detail. Dare we try 2-minute subs? Probably not, but we're going to try one anyway just to see how it goes. I'll probably end up just shooting those 60 seconds. With the Hyperstar, that's equivalent to a couple of minutes anyway, for the most part. For those of you who are interested, my observatory is a roll-off roof observatory. It was built by, as I mentioned before, Gord Farmer. And if you're interested, let me know, and I can certainly pass along his information to you. He's a great guy. He's also into astronomy. So we're counting down here just to see how this image comes out at 120-second exposures. I seriously doubt for tonight that I'm going to be doing 120-second exposures. And it's loading up, so we'll see in a second what that gives us. Yeah, I think we'll stick with 60-second exposures for tonight. So that will go out of preview mode. As I said, I'm using the ASI Air Pro with a ZWO ASI M294 one-shot color camera. I do have a couple of other cameras as well that I'll probably work on through the summer. Oh wow, that did give me a little more detail. Do I want to spend an hour on this galaxy? It's 9:46, 10:46. Probably not. Yeah, we're just going to do a half hour. It's just a test. These guys actually are visible pretty much throughout the year, so I can always go back to them, although I do like that. As you can see, the difference in the 60-second as opposed to the 2-minute exposure. But we'll take enough images. We're going to do, maybe we'll do 40, just for giggles here. Let's go back into our auto run. We've got M82, we've got 60-second images. We've got it set for 30 of them, but we're going to change that. Can we change it to, to manually change it to 40. Oops. So that's set to 40. So that'll give us 40 60-second images for stacking. And I'll probably shoot some darks later on. I just have to take note of my temperature. Probably 10 dark frames would do it. Okay, anyway, so we're ready to run on this one. Hopefully we will not get satellites in there. The other day when I was shooting, I got just a whack of satellites going by depending on the time of day, and we are kind of getting towards that time of day where I get satellites passing in that area of the sky. So without delay, let's get started and see if the non-satellite gods are good to us. I would definitely stay out later if I didn't have to work tomorrow. Unfortunately, I do, so this will not be a late night tonight, but definitely in the future we'll go later as long as people are interested in watching. And if you have questions that I'm able to answer along the way, feel free to send them to me, and subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notifications as to when I'm going to go live again. And we just had a complete disaster. So this sometimes happens. Going to exit that so you can see what happened here. I'm going to get out of that, go back to preview. Something went weird on this mount. One of these days when I'm rich and famous, or rich anyway, I do plan on changing the mount. This has been a problem I've experienced a few times now with this particular mount, where at a certain point it just gets a little crazy on me. If I do a complete realignment, it seems to work good, but I really don't want to do that at this point. So we'll see. I'm just shooting another preview image to see if it has resynced itself. Some of you out there, knowledgeable people, say, well, how come you're not guiding? I've had issues trying to get the guiding to work. I am working on that. It is a big 14-inch telescope, and some people say, man, with a 14-inch telescope, you've got to guide, and they're correct. But with the Hyperstar, that's less of a necessity, I believe, anyway. So we got a couple of seconds here. This is what this channel is about. Things that can suddenly go wrong, or problems that arise. And this is one of them. You get these massive star streaks because the mount went out. And it's still out. So I'm going to close off the channel for a minute, and going to do a quick realign, and then I'll come back on.